Honorable, you've had some of the questions and the comments that the people in the audience have. What are your responses?
Thank you, audience, especially for those who asked questions. They were very good questions. I want to start with Jack. Again, Jack raises a fundamental, what I consider, African problem. Because in Africa, when you try to be reasonable about something, you either have been paid or you are one of them. It's just a mindset. Now, I want to, first of all, say that there's no member of parliament that I know of who has been paid to advocate for what I'm told is the interest of the Western world. I want to unpack that. What have the Western people got to do with this? I mean, if today this bill is assented to by the president, and the Western people say that Uganda has brought into being a bill into law that affects, for example, human rights, which is their perspective in regard to this subject matter, and they say, no aid for you, no trade for you, no trading with you, our tourists shouldn't come here, and a host of other sanctions. Whose loss is it? I am hearing people trading the Western. You see, the world is big enough to accommodate all of us that I do not know what interest the West have in Uganda so peculiar that they would want to even fund, as some people are trying to purport, that this bill doesn't have to come to being. So I want to tell you that for the record, nobody has been paid, and this is a way of intimidating people who are trying to bring a voice of reason, and to some of us that doesn't fly. George, the former gay, and I'm very happy to have in the audience people who have been there before, like George, and I want to congratulate you for getting yourself out. Again, that drives the point that I'd made before, that this people need help, because you can see somebody like George, for the constraint of time, he has not explained how he managed to get out, but I believe on account of some degree of help, he managed to get himself out. And this is the point that some of us have been making, and there's a live testimony to that.
But before you go to that, let's just ask George, if you were not born homosexual, how did you become?
I was recruited at the age of 12 years. I was still a baby.
Where was this? Where were you recruited from?
From home, family friend. A friend to our family, a friend to my mom, older than me, 18 years, 12. This is why I tell people always, and Honorable Tada, it is good you are on the right track to save them. I always tell people, and I've been telling, Honorable Bahati, when he's making this bill, he should make a bill as a parent. Be a parent. Don't make a bill. Suppose tomorrow your child is found gay, killed, put to Luzira. Do something when you're looking at what will come after.
Okay, thank you very much, George. Yes, Honorable Tada, just finish the thought that you were on with.
Yeah, then I only agree with George when he says that many clauses in this bill are just copy and paste from the Penal Code. Again, to show you that we do not need duplicity of laws, we do not need a proliferation of laws, basically, for us to believe that we want to deal with it. In the case of, I've always told people that if you think this one law has not captured the people that you want to capture, how sure are you that the other laws that you want to make is going to do just that job? So it's not about laws. In the world, we have legal problems and we have social problems, and it's a question of understanding what this kind of challenge is, and in my view, I believe that from an African context, this is a social problem.
But Honorable, you come from the Committee of Legal and Parliamentary Affairs that dealt with this bill. The number of members on that committee is more than 20. Only 4 members wrote a minority opinion. Now, if the majority are saying that this is a law that's needed, why should people listen to the minority? And yet the majority, who are their representatives, are saying this law is needed, regardless of what we already have in the law books.
The mistake that we make in the world is to ignore the voice of the minority. This is a fundamental mistake that we make, to believe that the minority are wrong. But again, I would want to tell you that if you look at the majority whom you are talking about, very many of them did not sign. The chairman, the vice chairperson, at least you're seeing this. There's this member here. This I don't want to pronounce my colleagues' names, but you can see so many blanks. You can see it on behalf of our panel here, that they did not sign. They did not sign our minority either. So,
but also your minority report. You were 2 people that signed it. The other 2 members also did not sign your minority report.
Let me tell you, my brother. A lot of people want to go with what is popular, and this is usually politicians. Again, like you're introducing this show, this is a very sticky subject matter. And if you do not have a nerve, like for me, when I was going the route that I was taking, I knew what I was going to be up against. I knew I was going to be called all sorts of names. But again, they say, there's a very popular saying, and I think this was Tony Blair who said it, that the art of leadership lies in saying no. Because it is very easy to say yes, because everybody can say yes. So for me, I don't want anybody to make any mistake in the world by thinking that the minority are wrong.